Dr. Layla Anderson slipped through the narrow corridor of the ISV Argonaut, her boots whisper quiet against the recycled plastic flooring. The low hum of the ship's life support systems mingled with the distant pulse of ion drives, creating a constant backdrop to her restless thoughts. It had been 3 standard days since they left the Helios expanse, and already the crew was settling into the monotony of routine patrol. Their orders were nothing spectacular. Chart unexplored jump points, verify civilian traffic lanes, and deliver supplies to remote outposts. For Layla, a theoretical astrophysicist turned xenohistorian, it was dull work. But beneath that monotony lay a glimmer of possibility, the hope of a discovery that might redeem her fractured reputation. She paused outside the sensor lab, its sliding door etched with the faded emblem of the United Earth Science Directorate, a stylized comet arcing around a starburst. Inside, the subdeck pulsed with holographic readouts, spindly data jacks, and racks of qubit arrays. Layla's team of 2 technicians and an AI assistant, Helix, were already clustered around the central holo console, heads bent in concentration. "Anything new?" she asked, easing herself into the circle. Tech specialist Riva Chen shook her head, eyes heavy. Just the usual subspatial chatter. Cosmic microwave background, gamma-ray bursts routed through Sector 17 Delta. Nothing of note, Layla frowned. She tapped her wrist console to magnify the scan, layers of data unfurled in translucent violet. Most readings were benign. Stellar flares, interstellar dust echoes, but one channel drew her eye. Tachyon resonance patterns at the fringes of detection. "Helix, isolate the tachyon feed from grid 43, Layla instructed. The AI's avatar, a sleek, featureless orb, glowed as it passed the streams. "Isolating, Dr. Anderson. Signal strength is minimal, but coherence is high. I recommend amplification through the main gravlens relay." Layla's pulse quickened. Tachyons, if real, were theoretical particles that could move faster than light. Their detection had always been indirect, masked by noise. Yet here, under her fingertips, was a repeating pattern, an artificial sequence threading through the quantum foam itself. "How long has it been present?" she asked. "Approximately 19 hours, 34 minutes, and 12 seconds, Helix replied. Riva scoffed. "You think someone out there is sending us a radio show from 4 billion light-years away?" "Not a radio show," Layla said, leaning closer. "A heartbeat." They brought the reading to Captain Riker Modesta's attention half an hour later. Layla stood by the captain's chair on the bridge, holodisplay casting ghostly patterns across her face. Riker's jaw clenched as he studied the waveform. "Could be a pulsar glitch," he said, though his tone lacked conviction. "Pulsars don't encode prime number sequences at sub-second intervals," Layla replied. "It's too structured, like Morse code embedded in space-time." Lieutenant Sorin, the comms officer, tapped a console. "We've cross-checked with Earth, Mars, and the Ringworld. No transmissions match this signature." The captain rubbed his temples. "All right, full sensor sweep, mask nothing. If it's a military beacon, I want to know who's lighting the fuse." The Argonaut pivoted, its massive ring drive altering course toward the void where the signal grew stronger. The crew waited in tense anticipation as the grav lenses and photon arrays sharpened their vision. Outside the reinforced viewport, the stars seemed to stretch, distorted by the empty well of subspace looming ahead. Layla returned to the sensor deck, overlaying gravimetric scans with ancient star charts. Her eyes darted across the scribbled annotations of early colonists and lost explorers. Here be demons, ghosts, end of known space. She swallowed memories of her mentor, Professor Eman Girov, who had warned her that human curiosity often summoned more peril than it satisfied. As the Argonaut approached the epicenter of the tachyon pulses, the nebula drifted into view, an opalescent swirl of emerald and violet gases, half consumed by darkness. Dark wisps snaked through the light, like ink feathering in water. The bridge fell silent. "Visual on screen," the captain ordered. The hollow projector blossomed, projecting a three-dimensional image of the nebula's heart. There, half submerged in cosmic dust, lay the hulking outline of a starship. No, of several starships. Their hulls, encrusted with millennia of particulate, arced outwards in brutalist geometry. Ribs of structural beams ran along their lengths, and conduits glowed with veins of dim cobalt energy. Layla's breath caught. They're dreadnoughts, ancient dreadnoughts. An audible gasp rippled through the bridge. Admiral Thorne's class vessels, legendary titans of the primordial wars, were thought to be mythical, consigned to the earliest chapters of human legend. Yet here they were, not one but 5 warships, lying dormant in the void. "Database, cross-reference hull design with the Solari constructs," Riker ordered. The database churned. Moments later, an alert flashed. No direct match. Possible. Prototype series predating Solari class by at least 200 years. Reva's voice trembled. Proto-Solari. That means these could be older than any human artifact we've ever discovered. Layla swallowed hard. She felt the weight of history pressing in, as if those silent hulls were watching, waiting to exhale after an eternity. Her fingers flew over the holo console, isolating the ship's faint energy signature. "They're powering up," she whispered. "See those fluctuations? It's like a heartbeat coming to life." The lights in the bridge dimmed as power diverted to shields. A low hum emanated through the hull, a resonance that vibrated in the bones. The old dreadnoughts woke. Back in the sensor lab, Layla analyzed the strength and modulation of the tachyon pulses. Each beat pulsed through subspace, a call and response that ticked upward in complexity. She overlaid it with ancient linguistic matrices, proto-galactic, common Solari runes, even archaic dialects from the lost Titan colonies. "Captain," she called into comms, "the pulses, they're linguistic markers, a distress call, a rallying cry." He appeared on her auxiliary display, brow furrowed. "Your guess is as good as mine. But we need answers, Doctor." She nodded, already compiling the deck plans to send an away team. "I'm going out there. I need to see this up close." Riker hesitated. "It's huge. We don't know what defenses it has." Layla met his gaze through the screen. "Exactly why I need to see it. If we can't understand our own past, how can we face our future?" Moments later, Layla donned a reinforced EVA suit, its plating as dark as the void itself. She and 2 technicians boarded the subshuttle Perseus, the airlock sealing with a hiss. The shuttle's viewport framed the starship, its cavernous hull a cathedral of silence. As the Perseus docked with a massive side hatch, Layla's heart thundered. She placed her hand on the hull's exterior plating, cool, almost maglev-like. To the touch, an inscription ran along the seam in high-relief glyphs, a language lost to time, but somehow familiar. She traced the characters slowly. "By the will of the firstborn, arise and reclaim the stars." A tremor ran through her suit's sensors. The glyphs pulsed, glowing faintly. The hatch beneath her slid open with a groan that echoed through the void. Layla swallowed, steeled herself, and stepped into the unknown. Above her, the dreadnought awoke at last, and with that awakening, humanity's quiet corner of the galaxy would never be the same. The sub-shuttle Perseus glided silently along the dreadnought's hull, its magnetic grapplers clicking into place against ancient alloy. Inside the cavernous docking bay, clusters of dim cobalt lights pulsed in time with the ship's revived heartbeat, a subsonic thrum that reverberated through the shuttle's bulkhead. Dr. Layla Anderson checked her suit sensors, temperature, pressure, radiation, all nominal. Yet the scale of what lay before her made every breath feel impossibly shallow. "Stay close," she whispered to tech specialists Riva Chen and Marcus Liu as they exited into the alien hangar. Leviathan-sized ribs arched overhead, disappearing. Into darkness, rows of sleek starfighters lined the walls, their angular silhouettes glinting with millennia-old dust. Beneath each cockpit, inscriptions in Proto-Galactic Common formed looping scripts, glyphs that Layla had only begun to decode. She activated a portable holoprojector. A pale blue grid overlaid the hangar floor, revealing its original schematics. Maintenance bays, armories, a command node hidden somewhere beyond. Layla leaned forward. "If we can find the junction core, we can interface with the ship's systems and maybe negotiate." Riva tapped her datapad. "Life signs aren't human, but there's residual power in the biomatrix network. The ship itself, it's alive." A low rumble answered her observation. Dust cascaded from overhead struts as energy arcs flickered along the conduits. Marcus pointed. "Core's 2 decks up. Gravity lift still online." They hurried toward. A colossal archway etched with engraved guardians, titanic humanoid figures with wings of light. Crossing the threshold, they found themselves in a soaring atrium. At its center floated a translucent orb of pure energy, cradled by tripod servitors that hummed with sentience. The orb's glow shifted through violet, indigo, and azure hues, each transition a silent pulse that echoed through the chamber. Layla swallowed. "Prima Solaris," she breathed, "the original command matrix." As she approached, the orb's light coalesced into a humanoid silhouette, features sharp and ageless, wings of fractal energy unfurled behind it. Its voice resonated directly in their helmets, a chorus of harmonics that stirred something deep in Layla's mind. "Identify yourselves," it intoned, each syllable carrying the weight of centuries. Layla steadied her voice. "I am Dr. Layla, Henderson of the ISV Argonaut, representing the Coalition of Human Worlds. We request audience with Prima Solaris, custodian of this vessel." The Avatar's eyes flared. "Humanity's descendants, you dare trespass on sacred ground." "Not trespass," Layla replied. "We seek understanding. We awakened your fleet. We mean no harm." Prima Solaris regarded them with silent scrutiny. The tripod servitors extended slender tendrils, scanning their suits and equipment. Riva swallowed hard as a tendril traced her helmet, mapping her biometrics. Marcus gripped Layla's arm when the tendril hovered over his pulse sensor. Then the orb pulsed brightly, flooding the chamber in starlight. The tripod servitors retracted, and the Avatar's tone softened. "Speak, then. Why have you called us from the Tomb of Ages?" Layla exhaled. "We detected your tachyonic beacon, a pulse encoded in prime number modulation. We followed it to this nebula. We discovered your warships stirring. Our worlds teeter on the brink of conflict, and we, unaware of our past, almost struck first." Prima. Solaris's wings folded. "Your ignorance led you to war's edge. The primordial treaty was broken by your ancestors. We remained silent watchers until your plea awakened us." Layla activated her hollow console, projecting a star map peppered with human colonies. "Our coalition has fractured. Governments vie for resources. Border skirmishes spill into space. We need guidance and a way to renew the peace our ancestors once upheld." Silence reigned. Then the orb's glow shifted to deep emerald. "The resurrection protocol is complete. We will assess your world's readiness, but the awakening clause binds us. We must safeguard the weak and punish the warmonger." Outside the atrium, alarms blared as the Argonaut's tactical sensors detected multiple fighter squadrons launching from the dreadnought's hangars. Pristine vessels, each bristling with non-lethal disruption weaponry, streaked through the void. Toward human colony worlds, Riva's eyes widened. "They're enforcing the clause. A calm voice echoed in their comlinks, Captain Riker Modesta's measured tone. Layla, they disabled engines on Protocol Station Sigma. No casualties. Demonstration only. They want our cooperation. Layla nodded at Prima Solaris's avatar. We accept your terms, but guide us. Teach us the Covenant once more. The Jam, orb dimmed to a gentle sapphire. So be it. First, you must learn the Covenant's codex. Second, you must prove humanity's resolve by mediating the sundering conflict on Elysia Prime. Third, the Avatar paused, its eyes blazing. You must pledge allegiance to the new Council of Five, Human, Araktu, Voram, Nashiri, and Solari. Only then will the fleet stand with you. Layla glanced at her team, their faces illuminated by the orb's ethereal light. We accept these trials. Above them, the dreadnoughts hummed in unison, their ancient hulls alive once more. As the Resurrection Protocol unfolded, humanity's fate hinged on the next steps, deciphering lost wisdom, mending fractured alliances, and proving that the ancient peacekeepers' trust was not misplaced. In the depths of that primordial vessel, a fragile hope kindled, a chance to rewrite history before the galaxy plunged into war. The council chamber on Titan Station thrummed with urgency. Holographic screens floated above the long dais, displaying looped footage of ancient dreadnoughts, tachyon pulse graphs, and language matrices flickering with half-decoded glyphs. Around the semicircular table, representatives from Earth, Mars, the Ringworld colonies, and dozens of frontier outposts exchanged wary glances. At the far end stood Dr. Layla Anderson, her palms resting on the polished lectern. Esteemed members of the Coalition, she began, voice steady despite the weight of her discovery. In awakening the ancient fleet, we have unwittingly resurrected a covenant older than any record in our archives, the primordial treaty between humanity's first empire and the Araktu Prime Collective. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Sol Reyes of Earth leaned forward. Doctor, you claim our ancestors were signatories to a galaxy-spanning alliance, yet all our histories place Earth's interstellar dawn no more than 5 centuries ago. Layla tapped a glyph-etched datapad. The central holoscreen shifted to a 3-dimensional projection of Araktu Prime's cobalt chrome spire, reconstructed from shards of Araktu ship logs and recovered fragments from the Titan archives. Standard human historiography was rewritten. During the Dark Schism, she explained, the original archives, ship manifests, diplomatic treaties, terraforming blueprints were classified under emergency protocols. When the civil fracturing began, those records were purged to prevent any single faction from claiming imperial legitimacy. Councillor Myra Vance of Mars frowned. You're saying our ancestors erased their own golden age? In effect, yes, Layla said. The primordial treaty granted humanity access to gravity plating, quantum communicators, and zero-point reactors. In return, we pledged to uphold peace across Araktu territory, mediating disputes among nascent races. But as resources grew scarce, the Empire's leaders reneged on the treaty's non-expansion clause. Border posts were built without consent, mining operations polluted alien ecosystems. The Araktu withdrew, their fleets departing with such haste that entire species were stranded mid-colonization. We believed their failure was our liberation. In truth, it was our exile. She paused as the echo of her words settled. On the screens, decoded treaty passages appeared in luminous script. Article 3.7. Humanity shall not establish military installations on sovereign worlds without unanimous council assent. Primordial Treaty, Year 0. Article 5.12. Joint peacekeeping forces shall be deployed to any system in conflict, interventions to be non-lethal in nature. Primordial Treaty, Year 0. Ambassador Reyes swallowed. Our dreadnoughts followed those articles to the letter, disabling engines and weapons without loss of life. Exactly, Layla nodded. When we first encountered them, their disarmament salvo against Protocol Station Sigma was textbook Article Phi-12 enforcement. No civilian casualties, minimal structural damage. Their objective wasn't conquest, it was compliance. A flash of relief and dread crossed Councillor Vance's face. If they enforce the treaty now, what happens to colonies that have since violated its terms? The enforcement is twofold, Layla replied. Demonstration, to show us the old ways, and arbitration. The ancient fleet's AI command, Prima Solaris, will convene a tribunal. Systems found in breach must either extinguish unauthorized operations or face immobilization. After arbitration, they'll be offered rehabilitation, shared technology and training to realign with treaty mandates. Silence reigned, weighty as the void itself. Finally, Captain Riker Modesta, now acting as liaison between the military and diplomatic branches, spoke up. Elysia Prime's mining consortium built an orbital cannon last cycle. They've refused to decommission it. Unless we negotiate terms, the ancient fleet will disable it. Councillor Vance's eyes narrowed. That station generates 40% of our energy credits. Decommissioning it would cripple our economy. Precisely why you must advocate for gradual phase-out and technology exchange, Layla said. The Codex allows for transitional periods. You can retain partial output with treaty-approved safeguards. Across the chamber, the ring whirled. Delegate Lady Shaymir raised her hand. This tribunal, who sits on it? We cannot have a unilateral judgment delivered by machines alone. Layla gestured to a circular holotable that now projected 5 emblems: human, Araktu, Voram, Nashiri, and Solari. The Council of 5, she answered. Each emblem represents one founding member. We must invite the Araktu envoy back into dialogue, a gesture of reconciliation. The Voram and Nashiri have signaled willingness to participate. The Solari, long isolated, may require diplomatic overtures. Murmurs of cautious approval spread. Ambassador Reyes glanced at the human emblem. Reinstate the Araktu after 10 millennia of silence. Layla met his gaze unwaveringly. If we are to honor the treaty, we must welcome them, not as adversaries, but as partners. Our future hinges on unity, not isolation. For a moment, the chamber was still. Then, one by one, representatives rose to their feet. Captain Modesta led the standing ovation, followed by Councillor Vance and Lady Mia. Even Ambassador Reyes allowed a tentative smile. Layla exhaled, relief washing over her. She activated her wrist console to broadcast the decision across the coalition networks. The holographic treaty text rippled outward to millions of viewers. Humans, Araktu, Voram, Nashiri, Solari, all witnessing a singular moment of collective redress. Beyond Titan Station's reinforced windows, the ancient dreadnoughts hovered, like watchful sentinels. Their cobalt veins pulsed with approval, acknowledging the rebirth of a covenant thought lost. As Layla's live feed reached every human colony, a single truth emerged. The past was no longer a myth, but a guidepost, and the galaxy braced itself for the tribunal that would decide its shared destiny. The tempo of the tribunal's proceedings aboard the flagship HSV Valkyrian was measured, deliberate, an echo of the ancient protocols long buried beneath layers of human myth. In the Grand Council chamber, 5 crystalline dais seats glowed, one for each member of the revived Council of 5. Prima Solaris presided as arbiter, its avatar a constellation of shifting constellations hovering above the curved table. Dr. Layla Anderson stood beside Captain Riker Modesta at the human dais. Across from them sat Ambassador Sivak of the Araktu, her cobalt-plated robes trailing into unseen depths. To their right, Councillor Palks of the Voram, a towering figure in iridescent organic armor, Lady Yash of the Nashiri, eyes like liquid, Mercury, and Envoy Tikor of the Solari, his crystalline features impassive. "Let the tribunal commence," intoned Prima Solaris, its voice resonating through the chamber. One by one, petitions were read aloud. Elysia Prime began its mining consortium, agreeing to phase out orbital cannons within a standard 3-cycle plan in exchange for advanced energy shielding technology. The Ringworld joint venture sought to realign their drilling operations to prevent subspace fissures, a move granted under Article 6.3 with quantum stabilizers supplied by the Nashiri. Each case followed meticulous arbitration, violations acknowledged, reparations negotiated, and safeguards enacted. When Earth's petition emerged, silence fell. Their plea involved decommissioning a network of frontier outposts that had functioned autonomously for generations. Senator Reyes rose to speak on behalf of Terra's assembly. "We seek a guided transition," he declared, voice steady. "Our frontier worlds require time to integrate new governance frameworks without collapse." Ambassador Sivak inclined her head. "Under Primordial Treaty Article 449, we grant a phased integration period, 6 standard cycles, during which the Araktu will assist with administrative infrastructure and environmental remediation." She paused. "Let this gesture mark our return to fellowship." A quiet murmur of relief swept through Earth's delegation. Senator Reyes allowed himself a grateful nod. At last, the final decree was issued. Prima Solaris's orb pulsed, then projected the Second Primordial Treaty in its entirety, articles restored, amended, and expanded for a new era. Article 1.1, Humanity, Araktu, Voram, Nashiri, and Solari recommit to mutual defense and non-expansion. Article 2.4, Joint scientific ventures to explore uncharted territories shall be funded equitably. Article 3.7, a unified peacekeeper fleet combining ancient dreadnoughts with modern coalition ships will patrol contested regions. Article V12, enforcement remains non-lethal. Weapon systems must default to immobilization modes. When the final clause settled, the dais seats glowed with a harmonic resonance. Prima Solaris's constellation flared into brilliant white. "The treaty is ratified. Let this covenant stand unbroken." Outside the chamber, the combined fleet assembled, ancient dreadnoughts alongside sleek coalition cruisers, Voram biovessels with rippling hulls, Nashiri star fortresses, and Solari crystal spires of light. They gathered in formation over the Helios expanse, a testament to unity forged from millennia of conflict and amnesia. Back aboard the ISV Argonaut, Layla and Riker watched from the bridge as the colossal ships began their maiden patrol under human-alien command. Subspace comm channels buzzed with anticipation of the first joint mission, a reconnaissance of the Andromeda Fringe, where whispered threats of a predatory civilization lingered. Riker leaned toward Layla. "Can you believe it? We started as lost wanderers, and now we lead an armada of peacekeepers." She offered a small smile. "We've rewritten galactic history, Captain, but the real work begins now, living up to the treaty we forged." He reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. "With you by my side, I have no doubt we will." Layla closed her eyes, picturing the ancient glyphs glowing on the dreadnought's hull. "By the will of the firstborn, arise and reclaim the stars." Those words, once lost, now guided a united galaxy toward an uncertain but hopeful future. As the Argonaut slipped through a freshly opened jump point, its wake of blue-white light trailing behind, Dr. Layla Anderson allowed herself a single moment of wonder. The ancient warships had awakened, and in doing so had granted humanity a chance not only to remember its past, but to reshape its destiny among the stars.